I have a dream too. Not a polite dream. Not a Hallmark card dream. But a line in the sand dream. I have a dream that one day this country will finally stop pretending it doesn't know what it's doing to its own people. That we will stop calling exploitation opportunity, stop calling organized theft the free market, and stop calling abandonment personal responsibility. I have a dream that the same nation that could send me and millions like me across oceans in uniform will someday move with that same urgency to fix the streets we came home to. That the same precision used to plan wars will be used to prevent evictions, overdoses, and kids going to bed hungry in the richest country on earth. I have a dream that one day, when we say thank you for your service, it will mean more than a discount at the register and a quick clap at halftime. It will mean you will not sleep in your car. You will not wait months for care. You will not be left to fight your own government just to get what you were already promised. I have a dream that the promise we were sold, the GI Bill, the new protections under the Rudisill decision, every so-called forever benefit will not live or die based on some Jurassic Systems timer or an outdated database. Just a generation ago, they did everything they could to keep us from using the very same bill that could have changed a generation, hiding discrimination behind paperwork, zoning, and what we now know as educational redlining. That if you have worn the uniform of this country, your right to finish your education, retrain, or start again will not expire because a clock ran out or a form was misfiled, no matter who is in charge at the moment. I have a dream that the words you served will mean exactly this. Your benefits are earned, not borrowed, and no administration, algorithm, or backlog will have the last word on your future. I have a dream that basic dignity will not be sold on installments. That getting to work will not require signing your life away in a predatory contract. That missing one paycheck will not mean losing the car that takes you to the job that pays the note that keeps you barely afloat. That one mistake, one medical bill, one slow month will not trigger a chain reaction that ends with a repo truck at 3 in the morning and a pink slip by Friday. I have a dream that a working person in this country will not have to become a lawyer just to survive a loan, a lease, or a hospital bill. That the fine print will no longer be a weapon, but a promise written in plain language the average person can understand on the first read. I have a dream that credit will stop being a leash and become what they tell us it is, a tool. I have a dream that one day the phrase high-risk borrower will stop being cold, for we have found another vein to tap. That zip code, skin color, accent, and last name will stop being used as excuses to turn people into paydays. I have a dream that artificial intelligence will not become just another word for artificial mercy. That every line of code written in this country will be held to the same moral standard as every law we pass. Does it serve human beings, or does it strip them for parts? Does it help people see the truth, or bury it under noise? Does it widen the gap between the powerful and the powerless or help close it. I have a dream that one day our data will not be worth more than our lives. That we will not be measured only by what we click, what we buy, what we watch, and what we owe, but by what we build, what we protect, and who we stand up for. I have a dream that one day the children scrolling through endless feeds will see more than fear and flexing. They will see teachers, builders, and healers. They will see neighbors looking out for neighbors, not just chasing content. They will see people telling the truth about what it costs to live, to care for family, to stay sane in a system that profits when we break. I have a dream that those same children will be raised by present parenting, not moral ineptitude dressed up as letting kids figure it out, and not by adults too lazy to guide them while algorithms do the talking. Let every child live their life fully, unafraid to be themselves, not crushed by bullies or by comparing their real lives to other people's filters, and let them grow into everything they are meant to be. I have a dream that this country will finally admit that poverty is a policy choice, that the working poor will stop being an accepted category and start being recognized as a national failure, that full-time work will mean a full life, not a full calendar of due dates and disconnection notices. I have a dream that if a company can afford to pay a chief executive hundreds of millions of dollars in salary and stock, it can afford to pay every worker at least $30 an hour, no questions asked. That the minimum wage in this nation will finally meet the times, indexed to reality, not to wishful thinking, and raised across the board so nobody who works full time lives in poverty. I have a dream that education in this country will stop going to the highest bidder, that no human being in what we love to call the richest nation on earth will ever again have to sign away their future and drown in debt just to learn, to grow, and to excel in their lives. I have a dream that classrooms, colleges, and training programs will be doors that open, not traps that close around students with interest rates and balances they can never escape. I have a dream that if this nation can find blank checks for wars and oil, trillions that never seem to need a line item or a receipt, then it can find the will to erase student debt for the people who sacrificed to learn, to train, to build something better than what they were born into. That in a country that spends more on far-off battlefields than on the classrooms at home, we will finally decide that the right to start fresh without a ball and chain of debt belongs not to the lucky few, but to everyone who dared to better themselves. I have a dream that grocery store cashiers, warehouse workers, nurses, cooks, janitors, drivers, teachers, and mechanics will stop being called unskilled by people who can't last a shift in their shoes. That the people who keep the lights on, the roads plowed, the shelves stocked, the kids safe, and the elders cared for will sit at the head of the table when we decide what the economy is for. I have a dream that one day revitalization will no longer be a polite word for pushing people out of their own neighborhoods. That the same streets where people slept in tents and under bridges will not be power washed for tourists, while the human beings who live there are chased from block to block, criminalized so property values can climb. I have a dream that when a city shines up a district and calls it progress, it will mean that the people who were there before are still there after, housed, protected, and able to afford to stay, not disappeared into shelters, jail cells, and sidewalks in someone else's zip code. I have a dream that one day this nation will learn the difference between freedom and neglect. Freedom is not throwing people into a rigged game and calling it liberty. Freedom is not telling a struggling parent you're on your own, then charging them interest for the privilege. Freedom is not watching families drown in debt, addiction, despair, and pollution, then sending thoughts and prayers from a safe distance. Freedom is responsibility. Freedom is reciprocity. Freedom is business owners, lenders, landlords, and leaders who understand if your model only works when the other side is desperate, it is not a business. It is a slow-moving crime. I have a dream that one day the law will stop being a maze and start being a shield. That our courts will not be playgrounds for the highest bidder, but places where the truth has a fighting chance no matter how small your bank account is. That people will not have to go viral just to be heard or hire a publicist just to be believed. I have a dream that one day the phrase equal justice under law will describe the courtroom, not just the carving on the building. I have a dream that one day when a company poisons a river, strips a community, or wrecks an entire neighborhood with its greed, the response will not be a fine they write off as a cost of doing business. It will be a reckoning, a restoration, a rebuilding led by the people who were harmed, not the ones who did the harm. I have a dream that one day we will remember that this earth is not a prop, that the hills, mountains, hollers, and rivers of this country will no longer be treated as collateral for short-term profit, that the same intensity we bring to defending borders, we will bring to defending coastlines, forests, farmlands, and the neighborhoods built in their shadow. I have a dream that one day, when a storm hits, when the grid fails, when the water turns brown, the first question will not be, how do we spend this, but who needs help right now? I have a dream that one day we will stop worshiping the market like a golden calf and start honoring the actual people whose hands and backs and minds create every dollar of value this country claims to have. I have a dream that one day, instead of asking, how do we grow the economy, we will ask, how do we grow the number of people who can sleep at night without fear of tomorrow? I have a dream that one day we will measure success not by how high the stock market climbs, but by how rarely a parent has to say, we can't afford to go to the doctor. Not by how many billionaires we create, but by how many people never have to choose between medicine and rent. We are still standing here to cash that check, to demand that this nation finally honor its promise that freedom and opportunity are not reserved for the few. I have a dream that if the truth ever shakes this economy, if exposing the crimes of the powerful, even the billionaire predators who hide behind lawyers, charities, and carefully curated brands send shockwaves through the markets, then let it be so. Because any system that depends on silence about abuse to keep its numbers green is not a system worth saving. It is a rot that needs to be torn out, root and branch. I have a dream that one day this country will stop breaking people and then blaming them for being broken. That instead of asking, why didn't you try harder, we will ask, who built a world where trying your hardest still wasn't enough? I have a dream that the prison for profit pipeline from over-policed neighborhoods and punished schools to private detention centers with bed quotas and shareholders will be exposed and crushed, because no one's freedom should ever be someone else's business model. I have a dream that we will shut down the machinery that treats human beings as inventory and children as future headcount, and build in its place a system that measures success in healing, restoration, and return, not years served and cells filled. I have a dream that one day, when we talk about law and order, we will mean order for everybody, not just for the powerful, not just for the well-connected. That financial crimes that destroy thousands of lives will be treated as seriously as street crimes that make the evening news. I have a dream that one day we will stop confusing quiet with peace. Peace is not silence. Peace is not people suffering in private so that others can feel comfortable in public. Peace is the sound of needs being met, of wrongs being righted, of communities being heard before they explode. I have a dream that any school shooting that happens under the watch of those who shout, "Don't take our guns," in the name of the Second Amendment will no longer be treated as the cost of doing business in this country. That every child's life will be valued more than any slogan, any lobby talking point, or any politician's fundraising email. And that no one who wraps themselves in gun rights will be allowed to hide from the blood that keeps being spilled on their watch. I have a dream that we will honor the right to live before the right to posture, that we will refuse to let one more classroom, one more hallway, one more playground become a shooting gallery so that cowards can feel powerful while children die. I have a dream that one day racism will no longer be the cheapest fuel for power, that no leader will be able to rise by pitting neighbor against neighbor, worker against worker, one struggling family against another, that we will finally understand the people at the bottom of the ladder are not each other's problem. The problem is the way the ladder is built. I have a dream that the trauma of bondage will no longer be perpetuated by the senseless killing of those who look just like you, no matter what color you are. That brothers and sisters will stop spilling each other's blood in the streets while the same old systems sit back and count their profits. Your elders have been watching you, and they are ashamed, not because you are beyond saving, but because they marched, bled, and buried their own so you would not have to repeat the same nightmares. I have a dream that one day, in every state where cannabis is legal, every marijuana conviction tied to that same conduct will be overturned and cleared without delay. Not next year, not after a maze of petitions, but immediately. I have a dream that cannabis will be legalized across this land, regulated with care, but freed from the old machinery of criminalization. so that people have the right to choose without carrying a record for something that is now a business model and a tax base. I have a dream that when those convictions are wiped away, the rights that were taken with them, the right to vote, to serve on a jury, to hold certain jobs and licenses will be restored just as quickly, so that communities once targeted and caged can help decide what justice looks like going forward. I have a dream that proper health care will never again cost a life just to work. That in this country, no one will have to gamble with their health, their house, or their future just to see a doctor or fill a prescription. I have a dream that the business model built on cheap, addictive, ultra-processed food on the front end and expensive, lifelong medication on the back end will be called what it is: slow, organized poisoning for profit. We will not let corporations wreck our bodies with what's on the shelf and then rent them back to us, one prescription at a time. I have a dream that healthcare in this nation will be the same across the board: universal, humane, and real, so that diseases are caught early and cured for everyone, the way they are now for the rich, and no one's chance to live depends on their zip code or their bank balance. I have a dream that one day the quiet theft of our elders' homes will be treated with the same urgency as any other violent crime, because stealing a deed is stealing a lifetime. I have a dream that states will exercise their God-given right and their constitutional power to change their laws immediately, so that scammers can no longer walk into a clerk's office with forged papers and walk out with a family's history. I have a dream that every legitimate deed will carry a tamper-evident holographic seal of ownership, a physical, trackable mark tied to the true owner, so that con artists cannot quietly flip the title on the homes our elders worked so hard to build and keep. I have a dream that one day, black, white, Latino, Asian, Native, immigrant, citizen, rural, urban, straight, queer, disabled, documented, or not, will stand in the same long line, not for a handout, not for punishment, but for a voice in what comes next. I have a dream that one day, voting will not be treated like a scavenger hunt, that every eligible person will have a clear path to register, to show up, to be counted, without taking unpaid days off, begging for child care, or standing for hours just to slip a piece of paper into a box. That the question on election night will not be, who did we stop, but who did we empower? I have a dream that one day we will remember that Brother John Lewis did not march on the Edmund Pettus Bridge on Bloody Sunday in vain, that he did not bleed for nothing alongside Jose Williams, Amelia Boynton, Bob Mance, Albert Turner, and the roughly 600 souls who risked their bodies for the right to be counted. I have a dream that every vote will count, every vote will matter, every vote will stand, and that the systems that record and protect those votes will be updated to match the times, not the fraudulent minds that conspire to win with no honor. I have a dream that one day the phrase national security will be expanded to include insulin, housing, clean water, mental health care, and a living wage. That we will protect our people with the same intensity we protect our patents and our pipelines. I have a dream that one day when a young person says, I want to make music, make films, make art, make change, the response will not be, that's not realistic. It will be, let's talk about how you can do it without starving, selling your soul, or giving your rights away in a 30-page contract you don't understand. I have a dream that one day creativity will not be treated as a hobby for the rich, but as a birthright and a public good, as necessary to a healthy society as bridges, hospitals, and schools. I have a dream that one day this nation will finally live out the meaning of its own advertising. If we are going to call this the land of the free, then people must be free from hunger and humiliation. If we are going to call this the home of the brave, then we must be brave enough to confront the systems that thrive on keeping people scared and small. I have a dream that this so-called land of the free will finally tell the truth about itself. That it is land that was stolen from indigenous nations and wealth that was built on the backs of black and brown people whose unpaid labor and stolen genius raised its monuments, tilled its fields, and laid its tracks. I have a dream that one day we will stop asking the same people, generation after generation, to be patient. Patient while they are over-policed and underserved. Patient while they bury children, lost to bullets, to bad air, to bad water, to bad policy. Patient while others cash in on their despair. I have a dream that one day justice delayed will be understood for what it has always been, justice denied. I have a dream that even as we speak hard truths and draw hard lines, we will not let hatred own our hearts, that we will fight without becoming what we are fighting, and that our power will not come from cruelty, but from a love so serious it refuses to leave anyone behind. I have a dream that one day we will remember that Brother John Lewis did not march, that Dr. King did not speak, that countless unnamed saints did not sit in, kneel, and stand up just so we can trade one kind of domination for another. I have a dream that we will hold on to the fierce urgency of now, that we will refuse to drift back into one day and someday, because we know that justice delayed is justice denied. I have a dream that our faith in God, in each other, and in what is still possible in this country will be stronger than our fear. I have a dream that one day, when history looks back at this moment, at 2026, at us, it will not say that we were hypnotized by our screens, paralyzed by our fear, and neutralized by our comfort. It will say we reached a point where enough was enough. It will say that ordinary people who had been told they were just consumers, just users, just voters every few years, decided to become something else, authors of what comes next. I have a dream that one day soon we will stop waiting for a single charismatic voice to save us. We will understand that the dream has never belonged to one man, one march, one speech, or one generation. The dream is a relay, and the baton is in our hands now. I have a dream too, that on that day when our children and their children stand where we are standing now and look back, they will not say they were perfect. They will say they were honest. They were brave. They refused to keep calling injustice by polite names. And if that day comes when justice is not a slogan but a structure, when dignity is not a luxury but a baseline, when freedom is not a brand but a lived reality, then we will be able to say with full voice and clear conscience, not as a fantasy, but as a fact. We had a dream, we did the work, and we did not walk away.